He's on the
Yeah, that's good.
Jai
Hare
do you usually sing Jaya Radha?
Only occasionally, Maharaj.
Shall we make it an occasion?
That would be wonderful.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjani Hari
Jaya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you all for coming this evening to 26 Second Avenue, which is the place where the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, this is the first center where Srila Prabhupada began regular teachings of Krishna consciousness in the Western world. It's a special place. I'm happy to have all of you here. So many nice stories from different places and from here. And also including we welcome those who are disciples of Krishna Kshetra Swami or his friends and so forth. Our special guest this evening is Krishna Kshetra Swami. He's a disciple of many of you know this, but not everyone. So he's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, initiated in 1972, and has done lots of teaching of Krishna consciousness in Europe and in Asia, like in China, and traveling with the Gauranga Bhajan band in earlier days. That's not on the. I don't think I read that on the page, but
that's ancient history.
But that's for me. I like that part of the history. Maharaj is one of the, and I would say, unique aspects of his devotional service on behalf of Srila Prabhupada is as a scholar, and he has a PhD from Oxford that he got in 2004, and he got his dissertation in Chaitanya Vaishnava image. And Maharaj is also a writer, and he's written some
something like that.
There's a book table.
Maharaj has brought, with the help of some of us, Maharaj has brought some books. So for those who would like to read his writing, that will be available. You can speak to us after the program. And Maharaj also teaches at universities, has taught at universities in different places, including at universities in China. And I'm not sure I read this on the webpage, but I have to say it. Maharaj is known for his wonderful kirtans and bhajans, which we all just experienced. So look forward to a nice program in which Maharaj teaches Bhagavad-gita. We're studying chapter 5 right now. We're on verse 19 as we work our way verse by verse through the entire Gita. And if you have your phone, if you want to follow along with the verse, feel free without texting and all that other stuff. But a nice webpage for you to follow along is vedabase.org, vedabase.org. And there you'll find the Bhagavad-gita, chapter 5, text 19. Hare Krishna.
That was okay.
Improvement.
Better than last time.
Okay. All right.
He still has the word.
So that means
It
there's.
actually had something substantive.
Well, so that means you have to come
Practice.
again, so I have a chance to next time.
Practice makes perfect, right? Okay, well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you all. And for me, it's always a special treat to be here at, there's no place like this in the universe, right? 26 Second Avenue, this is where it all began. And it's still going on, right? So, yeah, this is nice. Srila Prabhupada. Who could have known, right, when he started here at 26 Second Avenue, what would develop? Yeah. Okay, so we're reading Srimad Bhagavad-gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada insisted, this is Bhagavad-gita as it is. One of the most translated books in the whole world. What are the other two most? One is the Bible, and the other is the Tao Te Ching. Those three are on the top of the list of translated books, religious books. But we're fortunate we have Srila Prabhupada's translation with its purports, and so we can jump right into it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now let's try that again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Much better. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Very good. So we're reading from Chapter 5, which Srila Prabhupada gave the title Karma Yoga Action in Krishna Consciousness. The traditional title of this chapter, I believe, is Sannyasa Yoga. So verse number 19, we'll just start chanting and then go through the verse word by word, and the translation and the purport, and then we'll go from there. Ihaiva tair sargo. Ihaiva tair sargo. Yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
Yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
Nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
Nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
Tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
Tasmāt brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
Ihaiva tair sargo.
ihaiva tair sargo.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
Nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
Tasmāt brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
Others want to chant?
ihaiva tair sargo.
ihaiva tair sargo.
yeṣāṁ samye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
tasmāt brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
ihaiva tair sargo.
ihaiva tair sargo.
yeṣāṁ samye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
ihaiva tair sargo.
ihaiva tair sargo.
yeṣāṁ samye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitāḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
ihaiva tair sargo.
ihaiva tair sargo.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
tasmād brahmaṇi sthitaḥ.
Anyone else? Once Prabhupada said if we repeat the verse 10 times, we will memorize it. Any others? Don't be shy.
ihaiva tair sargo.
ihaiva tair sargo.
yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitam manaḥ.
yeṣāṁ samye sthitam manaḥ.
nirdoṣaṁ nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
nirdoṣaṁ hi samam brahma.
Tasmād brahmaṇi te sthitaḥ.
Tasmād brahmaṇi te sthitaḥ.
Okay. So let's do the word for word. Ihaiva. In this life.
In this life.
Ihaiva. Certainly. Tair. By them. Jitaḥ. Conquered. Sargo. Birth and death. yeṣāṁ. Whose. Sāmye. In equanimity. Sthitam. Situated. Manaḥ. Mind. Nirdoṣaṁ. Flawless. He
is
certainly. Samam. In equanimity. Brahma. Like the Supreme. Tasmād. Therefore. Brahmaṇi. In the Supreme. They. Sthitaḥ. Are situated. This microphone is very good. The microphone stand is
Would you like me to try to adjust it? Well,
if you can tighten it, then it will stay. Yes. Maybe also put it this way, and then it will be strained so much. This one's too real.
this one? Okay.
No, it's good if you just make it tight. That's good. Okay. Yeah, good.
I think that's good.
Yeah. All right, translation. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. And Prabhupada's purport, equanimity of mind, as mentioned above, is the sign of self-realization. Those who have actually attained to such a state should be considered to have conquered material conditions, specifically birth and death. As long as one identifies with this body, he is considered a conditioned soul. But as soon as he is elevated to the stage of equanimity through realization of self, he is liberated from conditional life. In other words, he is no longer subject to take birth in the material world, but can enter into the spiritual sky after his death. The Lord is flawless because he is without attraction or hatred. Similarly, when a living entity is without attraction or hatred, he also becomes flawless and eligible to enter into the spiritual sky. Such persons are to be considered already liberated, and their symptoms are described below in the next verse or verses. And the verse again is ihaiva tair jitaḥ sargo yeṣāṁ sāmye sthitaṁ manaḥ nirdoṣaṁ hi samaṁ brahma tasmād brahmaṇi te sthitaḥ. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. We get this word Brahman in two different forms in the same verse. We also get the word sthita twice in slightly different forms. And we also get the word sama or sāmye, different forms of the same, in the same verse, times 2. So that's interesting. Okay, 5th chapter, so we're still within the first third of the Bhagavad-gita, and Krishna in this part of the Bhagavad-gita is, you could say, warming us up for the deeper depths of his teaching. I think it's nice to remember that Krishna is Yogeshvara. He is the master of yoga, and as such, he can be taken as a first-class teacher of yoga. We hear there are yoga teacher training programs. You can get a 200-hour course and a 400-hour course, and you can be qualified as a yoga teacher. Well, that's nice. Yogeshvara, Krishna, is, the original yoga teacher. The primordial yoga teacher. And this is something Srila Prabhupada would emphasize repeatedly when speaking on Bhagavad-gita, that when we're hearing the Gita, we're hearing from the perfect source, from the authority on this subject. Yes, please come forward and make yourself comfortable. So what Prabhupada would, sometimes he would spend half of a lecture just on this point to get his listeners into the sort of proper frame of mind, that we're not just listening to anyone saying anything. We're listening to Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogeshvara, Bhagavan, often with the verses that begin Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. He would just spend half his lecture making that point. What means Bhagavan, and why is that important? Well, I'm not going to dwell on that. I would like to focus a bit on what's being said here specifically, but it occurs to me, especially with this chapter, I feel that it is helpful to be aware of a kind of unspoken, what technically is called Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha is a term that's used in Indian philosophy. Historians of Indian philosophy tell us that it's been used at least since the 5th century of the Common Era, so that means the last 1,500 years. What means Purva Paksha? Well, what does Paksha mean? First, Paksha means literally wing, but it comes to mean position. We hear in politics there's a left wing and a right wing.
Right.
Yeah. So there's also wings in philosophy. One would hope that with these wings one can fly to the truth. What is Purva? Purva means, in this context, something like preliminary. So the preliminary understanding, that which is to be discussed, and how is it discussed? With the Uttara Paksha. The Uttara Paksha is responding to the Purva Paksha, and having responded to the Purva Paksha with the Uttara Paksha, one seeks to come to Siddhanta. Siddhanta. This is where everyone has a sigh of relief. after much anxiety of uncertainty, what is the truth, so that then one can fly with the Siddhanta. So what is the Purva Paksha of this chapter? It occurs, it's not explicit. It's not explicit, but I believe it's there. Why do I believe it's there? Because of some allusions in this chapter, especially at the end of this chapter, to terminology from the Buddhist tradition or traditions. The word nirvana in particular comes, and it comes, I believe, 3 times. And for me, this is a signal, it's a hint. But how it comes, how Krishna uses this word, nirvana, he makes a kind of little, he takes it with a little twist. He speaks not of nirvana simply, but he speaks of brahma nirvana. Brahma nirvana. You'll never hear the Buddhists talk about brahma nirvana. They'll speak about nirvana, but not brahma nirvana. So Krishna is using this. Now some will say, oh, wait. It can't be that Krishna is responding to the Buddhists. Why? Because Krishna was living so much centuries before Buddhism appeared. Then there are others who will say, well, this is just evidence that actually the Bhagavad-gita was spoken or written, compiled later, after the Buddhists. And there's a third option. The third option is what? The third option is that in one form or another, there's always been Buddhism. There's always something that, it may not go by that label, but it's always there. There's always some notion, philosophical notion of Buddhism. And it can be argued, I believe, that especially this 5th chapter, but Bhagavad-gita as a whole, is arguing against this. Something that I learned when I was teaching a course in how to do academic research a couple of years ago, and I came across a wonderful little book that was written for undergraduates, but I found it's very good for the whole range of students of anything. A book how to do really good academic writing, and the title of the book was "They Say, I Say," and that summarizes the whole point of the whole book. They say whatever they say. I say whatever I have to say. So a good academic piece will give the Purva Paksha, they say, and then it will give Uttara Paksha and Siddhanta. That's simple. So Krishna's doing that also. Krishna is doing that also. And specifically, he's talking here about the mind. Now, Buddhist traditions generally represent, with maybe one exception or two, I don't know, but generally they will propagate what is called kshanikavada. Kshanikavada. Kshana means a moment. And a vada is a doctrine, and a kshanika is a little tiny moment. And the basic idea is that there is nothing of continuous substance. There's nothing that you can say continues over time. all that there is moment after moment after moment after moment. And our experience is of momentariness, and our illusion, they will say, is that we put it all together and think that there's something constant. And as a result of that, we imagine that there is an Atma, that there is a soul. Of course, Buddhists, generally how we understand Buddhism, and generally how Buddhists understand Buddhism, is they want to use a postmodern fancy word, they want to deconstruct the self, the Atma. They want to say, your whole problem is you're thinking that you are somebody, when actually there is no substantial self. And what that means is there's also no thing which could be called a mind. So much about the Bhagavad-gita is about controlling the mind, and the Yoga Sutras, the yoga system, is very much yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, the chitta consciousness, the vrittis, the fluctuations and disturbances, nirodha, they are to be restrained by practice of yoga. So all of that kind of would, at least in theory, it seems like it would just go out the window with Buddhism. Well, 2 times in this verse, Krishna refers to Brahman. And Brahman it's the one where the Buddhist may want to argue for the zero. Perhaps you've heard the term shunya or shunyavada or shunyata. So shunyata is the abstract noun. It means well, sometimes it's translated as void, but it means something like non-substantiality. There is no substance. This is the argument. Well, Krishna says it's not, it doesn't really make sense. And although he's not in any systematic way arguing against Buddhist ideas, there are scholars who do that, and especially in the Nyaya tradition, for centuries they were arguing with the Buddhists back and forth. But there's these hints in the Gita, and as I said, especially in the 5th chapter, especially at the end, what we get is Brahma Nirvana. It's a kind of trick. I think Krishna is speaking about Brahman. Okay, so those whose minds, they have minds, right, are established in sameness and equanimity. What is this sameness and equanimity? Just on our way here today, on the subway, I was commenting, I was saying, this New York subway system.
Local. Crazy.
It's interesting. Because I guess I could say I'm a little spoiled from the metro, they call it, in Hong Kong. Very, it's just very, it's very neat, clean, it's modern. Anyway, so I'm making in my mind a comparison. I'm thinking this is better and that's worse. Krishna's saying, you shouldn't do that. Don't go making these distinctions like that. Or, is that what he's saying? Think about this. Is it possible to think without making comparisons? Is it even possible to think? Are we not constantly making distinctions? And isn't that distinction making comparison? So then, what does this mean to say, what is this samam? What is this sāmye sthitam? What is this being situated in sāmye, in equanimity? What does that mean? Well, we might get a hint from the previous verse, which those of you who were here last time will of course remember. You remember the previous verse?
Yeah, I gave the class.
Oh, you better remember, right?
You better remember.
So, you want to quote it for us?
Let's see.
Putting
Yeah,
you on the
Vidya
spot.
sama pane brahmani gavi hastani shuni chaiva svapake cha pandita samadarshana. The sage sees, the learned and gentle sage sees with equal vision the brahmana, the cow, and the dog, and the dog eater, basically, and the outcast, the stopacha, the one who cooks the dogs.
You forgot the elephants.
Oh, the elephant, hastani,
Yeah. Yes, the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, an outcast. Right, well, equal vision, samadarshan, a samadarshi, and darshana is just the plural form. So they see equally. What does that mean? Well, that means understanding that every living being is in essence the same. Certainly the bodies are different. Nobody's going to say that the cow and the dog and the elephant and all of these different bodies are the same. No. But the pundit, that means the learned person, understands there's we say something, but it's really someone. There's a person inside each one of them, and they're all the same in terms of certain features, especially degrees, we can say, of sat, chit, and ananda, the qualities of the self. Actually, the qualities of the self, the Atman, have been elaborated in Jiva Goswami's Paramatma Sandarbha. I just was reminded of this. He quotes one sage from South India, Jamatri Muni. He gives 21 qualities of the Atma, the self. And what's interesting for us, perhaps, is the last of these. The very last one is Shanti, Shanti. The last one of these is Sheshatva, which is a way of saying servitorship. So characteristic, what do we all have in common? We're all servants. We're all servants. That's a core principle, which is especially emphasized in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. It's one of the things that specifies and characterizes the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Jivera Swarupahoy Krishna Nityadas Tatasta Shakti Veda Veda Prakash. Alright, so this sameness and equanimity, but I think there's something here, because Krishna is emphasizing it so much in the Gita. In the 6th chapter, he's going to, let's see if I can remember it. No, I'm not remembering. Jnanam, vijnanam, jnanam, tetam, jnanam, teham, savijnanam. No, that's not it. We'll get it. It's here.
Are the qualities of the soul?
That's it. Jnana vijnana triptatma. Kutasta vijitendriya. Yukta iti uchate yogi.
Samalastra kanchana.
Sama loshtra ashma kanchana. We got it. Someone is said to be in self-realization and is called a yogi. Yukta iti uchate yogi. When that person is fully satisfied. Why? Tripta atma means satisfied. By virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. And what's the characteristic? Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees, what does he see? He sees everything. Whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. Well, what does that really mean? One thought I had about this is, in some contexts, gold might be very useful. In other contexts, pebbles or stones might be more useful than gold. If you want to build a house, you're not going to build a house with gold, even if you had that much. Right? So the equal vision, I think, is seeing there's an equal potential of all things, to be used in service. That's actually the way a devotee understands. But then Krishna ups the ante in the next verse. Surin mitrayudasina madhyasta dveshta bandishu sadushvape chapapeshu. Samabudhir vishishyate. Vishishyate means more special. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. Now notice Krishna says someone is further advanced. He recognizes this is not easy. To see everyone, somebody who's friendly with you and somebody who would like to finish you off with equal vision, that's a tall order, right? That's a tall order. But this is, what I want to say is that I've developed this notion that Krishna in the Gita, especially throughout the Gita, he speaks a lot about this equanimity, and it seems to me that it's a kind of what I call therapeutic non-duality. Therapeutic. It's not an ultimate non-dualism. And we're not Advaitavadins, we're not Mayavadins. It's not ultimately so, but it's therapeutically so. It's helpful to practice thinking and seeing. It's helpful to be asking ourselves, is it possible to see things with some sort of equal vision? Is that possible? Can I see with equal vision? Is it possible to do that? And how to get there? It came to my mind, there's a very nice verse, sutra in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. You want to hear one of the sutras of Patanjali? No?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This connects back to Buddhism because it echoes a Buddhist idea. So Patanjali says in part 1, verse number, or Sutra 33, Maitri Karuna Mudito Pekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanatas Chitta Prasadanam. What's that mean? By cultivating an attitude of friendship toward those who are happy, compassion toward those in distress, joy toward those who are virtuous, and equanimity toward those who are non-virtuous, lucidity arises in the mind. This is Advaita Prabhu's translation, Edwin Bryan. Very nice book he's written, translation and commentary on the Yoga Sutras. By cultivating an attitude of friendship, maitri, in Pali, this is metta. Karuna is karuna, mudita, I think is mudita, and upeksha is, I think, upekka. By cultivating an attitude of friendship toward those who are happy, sukha, compassion, karuna, toward those in distress, joy, that's mudita, toward those who are virtuous, punya, and equanimity, upeksha, toward those who are non-virtuous, apunya, lucidity, prasadanam, arises in the mind, bhavanatas, chitta prasadanam. So this actually is almost, we may be tempted to say, oh, that's taken straight out of Buddhist literature. Because the Buddhists speak of what they call the, the Brahma Vihara. These 4 principles, a practice of meditation is to extend one's friendship. You start with what's easy. It's easy to be friendly with your friends. So they say, start with your friends, that's okay. You know how to be friendly with your friends. Now, try extending that out to someone who is udasina, someone who is indifferent to you. But here it says, someone who is sukha, who is happy. Now you may say, well, I don't know if I want to be friends with someone who's happy because of, some mundane reason. But the idea here is, no, go ahead and see if you can do that, because that's going to help you stretch your consciousness to recognize that that's also a spirit soul. They have the same sorts of feelings as you have, and so on. Each one of these you learn to extend further and further out as a meditation to encompass the whole world. And what's the result? The result is chitta prasadanam. And this, just now occurs to me, could take us back to Bhagavad-gita in the 18th chapter, another famous verse. You all know, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Sochati Na Kamshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labhate. So that's where it goes beyond the Buddhist idea to bhakti to the Lord. So again, we had a kind of purva paksha in what seems implied in the Buddhist idea. We have, instead of the Buddhist idea, bye. They'll come back. Okay. Instead of the kshanikavada of the Buddhist idea, we have something solid. We have a self, and we have a self which has a mind, and that mind is constant, and therefore that mind can become sthitaḥ, can become fixed. And that mind can become fixed in what? Sāmye, in equanimity. And that, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, is he very often uses the word symptom. Symptom we usually think of in relation to disease, a symptom of a disease, right? But he'll use it in a more general sense. So a symptom symptoms of persons who are considered to be already liberated. This is all being described. Do we want to be liberated? One could ask. Maybe we just want to attain nirvana. Nirvana. Nirvat. What is nirvana? Literally, it's extinguishment. Extinguishing the fire, blowing out the candle, that is nirvana. Not so attractive, I think. I think we're enough, we value ourselves enough to understand that that is not what we want. We value ourselves, even in our conditioned life, enough to understand that the solution is not to snuff out ourselves. Isn't it? So, Bhagavad-gita, Krishna this is one of the things that Krishna is doing in Bhagavad-gita. He's establishing, of course, this begins already in the second chapter, with Krishna's several statements about the existence and characteristics of living beings, the spirit soul. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitavana bhuya ajo nitya shashvato ayam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. This eternal self, it's not destroying, it's not being destroyed, it's not destroying anyone else. It's existed in the past, it's existing now, it's going to exist in the future. There's permanence to the self. And Krishna starts, he begins his argument on that point, which again suggests he may be, even though it's not mentioned, he may be addressing the Buddhists, as the Purva Paksha. Okay, these are a few thoughts. Now let's see if you want to refute something, you want to argue the Buddhist position. Yes, sir.
Marsh. Well, I have two things, but I can just do one and we'll see. You were suggesting three options for explanations for how it is that Krishna uses the term Brahma Nirvana, which is a term that's widely used in Buddhist scripture.
No. Nirvana is used in Buddhist scripture, and Krishna speaks of Brahma Nirvana.
Excuse me. Yes.
That's an important distinction.
Yes, that's my so Krishna is utilizing the term, but with another descriptor. I was thinking of a fourth option. I was wondering what you think of. well, because Krishna says that he knows past, present, and future. So, and we also know...
He's anticipating.
I was thinking that too.
He's anticipating the Purva Paksha. In the future, they're going to be saying this.
Anticipating.
Okay. Yeah, why not?
Since it's a spiritual literature, a spiritual explanation is appropriate. Then my other question is the word for word translation of this verse. There's a word for word in the Sanskrit for the word equanimity, but there's not a separate additional one for the word sameness. So I was just wondering what you thought about that.
Oh, sameness. Well, oh, I see. Sameness and equanimity. Well, I'd have to think about it. I think this would be a case where Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing, maybe you don't understand equanimity. Well, how about sameness?
You said sama appears twice, so maybe for one sama, I don't know. I'm just from hearing, yeah. Maybe one sama is sameness, the other sama is equanimity in different contexts.
Yeah, that might work, yes. Nirdoṣaṁ samam. They're flawless like Brahman, which is samam. Yeah, okay, that's a possibility. Yes.
Thank you for that wonderful talk. So many thoughts have been provoked by your presentation. I really appreciate it. So just want to say that to start.
Provocateur.
I also have many questions, but I'll maybe keep it to one or two. But one thought, a couple of thoughts and then a question.
Yeah.
One thought is to your thesis about Brahma Nirvana. Krishna also mentions Buddha or Buddhaya like 5 times or 6 times in this chapter. So that's also kind of relevant to your thesis of this being a pre-sponse or a response to either something that will come or something that has long been, even before articulated by a historical Siddhartha, Gautama, or whomever that may be.
Yeah, of course, already in the 2nd chapter he speaks of buddhi yoga, but then the word buddhi, that's already there in Sankhya.
Right.
Sankhya philosophy, of course, the buddhi.
Yeah, so it seems that idea could have been co-opted by the later personality, possibly. Yeah, and then another thought is that what Krishna is doing in the Gita. You were speaking about Krishna's. He seems to be responding to this idea. But something wonderful that Krishna does in the Gita is accommodate, or rather than defeating, it's more like, here's how we would apply this,
right?
And synthesize to your paksha, purva paksha, siddhanta.
Yeah.
So he does that so beautifully with so many other philosophical ideas in the Bhagavad-gita, and so it's nice to think how he's doing that with the ideas that would become or were Buddhism as well.
No, very good point. We can see that with just the term Brahma Nirvana. He's accepting the word Nirvana, but he's he puts it into Vedanta terminology.
Right.
And then, of course, he's blending so many things. He's blending Sankhya and Vedanta in the Gita. And he's blending, a lot of things. Yeah. And, as you say, synthesizing it. Yeah, we can say that's why the Gita is so enduring and endearing.
So, more thoughts, but I'll come to a question.
Okay.
I have a thought on the sameness and the judgment, how things can be the same even when different.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll pose it to you as a question.
Okay.
And that could be also by not judging them. So you gave the example of the New York subway versus the Hong Kong metro.
Right.
And we could judge them and say this one's better than the other, or we could say this one's more punctual, this one's cleaner, this one's safer, and this one's more extensive. So we could describe the difference, but without judging them as better or worse. Like
Right.
today's a rainy day, we could say it's a terrible day, or we could say it's raining.
Yeah.
And so being samatva, or being equipoised, or in that sameness could also be about not casting judgment and then being distressed, like that happiness and distress in relation to it. Do you have a thought on that?
I agree. But I think why I think this point about he's connecting this equanimity with liberation, and it just now occurs to me. This is an ongoing sort of liberation. It's a day-to-day sort of being liberated.
That's right.
Your mind is freed up to be, and just to think clearly, because you avoid the judging. The judging is actually entangling. It's becomes a burden. It holds you down. You become, what's the word?
Free.
Yeah.
Limited.
Yeah, you become limited by your judgment. Yeah. You become beholden, sort of, to your judgment. And so there's, I think, another way of looking at this, because I like to look at it as a practice. Yoga as a practice, because we're not there yet, right? We're just day by day. So it's a practice to learn to withhold judgment on all sorts of things, and especially on other people. We tend to be very quick at the draw at judging others, isn't it? This person, and that's very binding, isn't it? So the practice of maybe a judgment is going to be necessary at some point. Maybe in my dealings with someone, maybe I will have to make a judgment. Maybe it's my responsibility in some circumstances. But maybe not, and so maybe I can withhold, I can suspend the judgment, and that opens up all kinds of possibility of, to appreciate others as they are.
Thank you.
Yes, Divya.
So thank you. Just continue on this thought. So I very much appreciate that your one of the definitions of equanimity is seeing equal opportunity for everybody to be engaged in service. That'll open my eyes. So, but the judgment, I think also Srila Prabhupada speaks about this in the purport, equanimity in the sense of perceiving without attachment and aversion. So that's not being free from judgment. So what I'm thinking is the qualities of Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama Adhikari, and in relation to, I don't have a question, but maybe it could come, in relation to, exactly the judgmental mentality, or perceiving the world and others with aversion and attachment, to having uttamadhikari when it's completely doesn't want anything from the material world. There's no attachment or aversion.
Mm-hmm.
Any like relating equanimity to kanishta, madhyama, uttama? What do you?
Yeah, we could. There's lots of ways to map spiritual progress. That's one sort of mapping. Another way of mapping we find, of course, with the three modes, the trigunas, and that's extended to include a mapping of bhakti in the third canto of the Bhagavad-gita. In Kapila's teachings, there's bhakti in the mode of goodness, bhakti in the mode of passion, bhakti in the mode of ignorance. But yeah, as you said, I think we can agree that the uttama adhikari, the one who has nothing, really nothing to gain from that position, then we could say it can go either way. It becomes very easy to be non-judgmental because they're not invested in anything. They have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Yeah. Yes.
I wanted to raise an issue of the use of the word judging or judgmental, which I was thinking are often used interchangeably.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, judging can be used, I think, in a way that doesn't connote being judgmental. So in other words, judging meaning analyzing distinctions and recognizing that something may be more effective or productive or better, and yet being not being partial, and I think that's, to me, I was thinking that's really the quality of someone who has an equipoised mind, and so therefore people criticize the judicial system. They say, "Oh, this judge, he's partial. He's favorable. He's biased." Yeah. But a judge, someone, it's good to have someone who makes judgments. It's just important that they make them fairly, without bias.
Yes, spoken by a true lawyer. Yes. No, it's good. Way, eloquently. Good to make that distinction, judging and being judgmental.
I just feel that this is an interesting subject, because that's what probably most of us trying to do, stop the judgment, because we have this set of mind that we always judge. It's like natural. We look at the person and we see something wrong with the person. Because a lot of person has something...
There must be something wrong with you.
Everybody thinks that. Somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, with me as well. But I don't think I'm the only one. It's just the false ego. You always see something that's not perfect in somebody, and you detect it, and this is uncomfortable because it's kind of, people also call it negative. Yeah. Being negative, judging, like they use it like negative thing, and it is negative because it takes your mind from peace. You're never peaceful. It's always distracting, it's unpleasant, and it also could be judgment in a different way.
Yes.
She looks too good. They are too happy.
They're too happy. And they don't deserve it.
Yeah, how come these people are happy, or how come they are together, or how, I mean, you always have this thing going on, too much attention to everything that's going on in this world. It's distract from actually thinking about spiritual. Like
yes,
Krishna.
it takes our energy away from
just
the important things.
Yes,
right.
it's something that it's distracting for this practice.
Exactly.
Practice.
Very good. Thank you. Yes.
How you doing, Maharaj? Pleasure that you're here. Appreciate you, and also I like how diverse you are in your thinking. Like you know about Buddhism, you know about this, about a little bit about everything. I want to ask you about you said Patanjali Sutras. So, like, what's your take of it? Is it good? And then, what kind of translation is good, if anything? Do you recommend?
Yeah, I've been studying the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali lately because I'm in the process of writing a book on yoga in relation to the ethics about relating with animals. And so I'm trying to see how I can draw out from yoga tradition. And it just happens to be that Patanjali Yoga Sutras became the most prominent, most widely known text on yoga. There's a history to that, how it came about. What's
your take on it?
Yeah, it's the Bhagavad-gita is much more accessible, really. If the question is how can I, progress in spiritual life, Yoga Sutras, there are certain things there that I find helpful, and other things I feel like, I don't know, I'm not really grasping, and other things I'm thinking, well, that's yoga, but I'm interested in bhakti yoga. The tradition that I follow, that Srila Prabhupada gave us, the Gaudiya Vaishnava followers of Chaitanya, one of the important teachers of our tradition from the 18th century, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, wrote sometime about this yoga of Patanjali. I don't know if he referred to Patanjali, and he said essentially, we don't take their conclusion, their soteriology, their aim of what they call kaivalya, but the techniques they have for advancing in spiritual life, most of it's quite okay. We also don't take from the 3rd chapter the siddhis, the sort of mystical powers, which Patanjali himself says, this is really not very good, but here it is. If you want this, you can get it by practicing different forms of samyama, different meditations. But it's, I don't know, it can shed a certain kind, maybe, of light on certain aspects of, for example, the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. 6th chapter, in one sense, is a kind of summary of many of the elements of Ashtanga Yoga, which is kind of sketched in the Yoga Sutras. And as for translation, well, there are 2 which I like. One I mentioned from Edwin Bryant, and the other is from Christopher Chappell. What is this book called? The Yoga, the Luminous, something like that. And that's also quite good, I think.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sure. And they're both available on Kindle.
Everything now on Kindle, eh?
Which is good. If we travel, we can carry it around.
Just like that. Thank you.
Good. So I guess we can And there is, what is our tradition? What happens now?
So Maharaj, we after the class, we typically have a little kirtan, and then we have prasadam, yeah.
Good, all right, a little more kirtan. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Antaraj Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai. Pretty short. Now back to you. You want to read? You sure?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm so happy hearing those things.
Hare Thank you.